Hi, everyone. Good day to everyone here. Thank you for joining us this morning and this afternoon. We appreciate you coming here. And I just want to say that SENPA is very, very excited to be in partnership with the Natural Products Marketer. And I just want to announce that the launch of our upcoming webinar series, Beyond the Aisle, Navigating Natural Products Retail, is a new series for us, but it's going to be crafted for independent natural products retailers like yourselves. Addressing some of the most pressing challenges and opportunities in today's retail landscape. So each session is going to be led by industry experts. They're going to provide practical strategies that can make real differences in your business. So you want to be able to expect valuable insights on topics like succession planning, for your future, building successful partnerships, leveraging AI for smarter marketing, and then exploring, I will get it out here in just a minute, you have to know, Miss Deborah, the benefits of offering your own private label products and more. So today I want to welcome our guests on our webinar, Karen Greenway and Laura DeWitt. And also, thank you. I'd like to welcome our hosts, Tina Smith and Amanda Beller. Here we go. Take it away.
Hi, guys. It's so exciting to see all of you joining us today. And we are just delighted to have Laura and Karen on the call with us so that we can explore their experience in starting, growing, and then sort of exiting and overseeing natural products retail stores. So we're going to hop right in because I want to start with and just dive right into their story. But before we get started, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about how all this works. We're going to be having a conversation with the ladies. Amanda and Deborah and I are going to ask them a lot of questions. They're going to tell stories and regale you with all of their struggles and challenges and victories in this journey. As we do that, you're probably going to have questions. And if you do, we'd just like for you to pop those right in the chat so that we can, at the end, save a little bit of time to have your audience questions to ask these ladies before we shut down this webinar. And what a gift they've given us to give us their time this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are today. And now we'll just dive right in. So any questions, pop those in the chat and we'll get to those at the end of our conversation. But Karen, I would love for you to talk about your story. I know you've shared it with us personally before, but just with the audience about how you guys got started with your store.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, everybody. So Laura and I friends for going on 40 years now, I think. And she and I we were young'uns, 28 and 29 years old. And Laura's parents were living in Florida and had asked us to visit. And so we did. We came over for an extended period during Christmas. And of course, had a great time, playing tennis and kayaking and who knows, going to the beach in December. We get back to England in January. It's raining sideways. We meet for lunch. We're like, oh, we're still all suntanned and that, like, we got to find a way to get back to Florida. So we investigated and realized that, from an immigration standpoint, one of the things that you can do is to invest in your own business and meet certain criteria. So we gave up our jobs literally and came to Florida for 6 months to try to figure out what kind of business what that would look like. And, which we're young, we didn't have any attachments, family and things like that. So we got here and we're visiting with, we're staying with Laura's parents and Laura's dad's particularly fond of curry. And we were looking for curry powder, not actually curry powder, but the spices that go in to make a curry. And back in 1991, that was hard to find. And somebody had suggested that we go to our local health food store because they have all the spice racks. So off we trot and we find everything, whole mustard seeds and cumin seeds and all the spices that we could mortar and pestle our own spices, right, Laura, so that we could make this wonderful curry for Bernie, who'd been really missing his real authentic curries. So that really introduced us to a health food store. That's what really caused us to walk into a health food store to begin with. And because we were here for 6 months, we realized that they actually had a lot of things that we like and enjoyed back in England that we weren't able to find in Winn-Dixie, which was kind of the store closest to us. And the kind of quality of food that we were more likened to. So that we sort of became friends with these people at the health food store, and got chatting to them about what we were doing there, and said we needed to buy a business, and they said, well, why don't you buy this business? And that's a 6 month long story in a couple of minutes, but that's actually what we did. We bought Brookesville Natural Foods in rural Brookesville, Florida, and we're still proud owners to this day. And that was back in 1991. And it all started with Laura's father burn his love of curry.
Yeah, it's such a fun story. And one thing it reminds me of, and I know I've said this to you guys before, but most of the people that get into this business do so from a personal need, whether it's a health situation or they just can't find the thing that they're looking for. And they're like, that's it. I'm going to solve this problem for myself so that I can solve it for other people as well. But what is interesting to me is that you guys were obviously friends because you went on vacation together and went to Florida and had this unique discovery and experience. But Laura, tell me, how did you know you guys could work together?
Well, one of the stories that Karen didn't tell you, because she's so busy telling you about how she grinds her spices into garam masala, is that we only had the amount of money that we needed, and that was about $100,000, and we couldn't spend any of it. So we both worked in the meantime for $5 an hour as landscape gardeners. I mean, basically just humping sod. And, we had the best time because we both liked to really work hard. We could see the value in the work. We were proud of our $5 an hour job that meant we didn't have to dip into our savings. But, within that, because we're in very different careers in England, Karen was she was a sales manager for BMW. And I was in community education as a women's education officer. And we had never really worked together. But the minute we kind of were thrown together with this need, we realized that we both, had a lot of passion. We had a great sense of humor. We were able to sweat our booties off all day and come back and have a beer and still be cheerful. And so I feel like that was kind of an inkling of the way that we've gone forward in our life with those kind of core similarities that we have in terms of our ability to solve problems and work together and maintain that kind of same sense of humor, but also have a passion for everything that we do to do the best job that we can, regardless of what we're doing.
When you're telling that story, and I didn't realize what your careers were before you started into this, but I cannot think of a better pairing than education and sales. What a great coincidence that you guys brought those skills into a store like this. But I'm sure there were rocky problems along the way. As friends will know, relationships don't always go completely smoothly, and neither do business partnerships. So how do you guys work through issues as they arise?
Well, I think I was trying to think about this earlier, and I think the main thing that has been the most important guiding star to us is that we agreed that we would always have each other's back, no matter what. We all have working in teams. You all know those passive aggressive people who try and come to you and say, "Oh, I saw Karen's not here," and it's 10 o'clock. That never meant anything to us because we trusted each other. We had a vision of fairness. We were always very honest with each other, fessing up to things that had happened. We talk it through. But this kind of glue that we have and still have together is that we would always be there for each other and back each other up, regardless of the situation. And you're right, we've made some terrible mistakes. I mean, we opened a store in near Tampa in the early 2000s that we lost a lot of money. It was a horrible, horrible time of our career, but our friendship and our commitment to each other and our commitment to our team and to our store and its values, that got us through. And we were able to maintain relationships with our vendors and pay our bills back, even though we had this incredible setback. And as you know, as you go through life, you learn from those, and you can bring those then forward into the next things you do. So I would think that, that's, we've kind of kept the excitement of working together going. Even now we have different careers. She's still my very best friend, and our relationship has been unmatched, really.
Thank you. That's nice of you to say. Yeah.
I'll send you my Christmas present list, Karen.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly had our moments, but like you said about even like a marriage, don't go to bed angry with each other. I mean, we resolved our things, right, one way or another before we got to work the next day. Didn't take it to work with us. Yeah. So
Yeah, so what does that process look like for you guys dealing with conflict? It being, if you have different personality types, and how do you kind of go about that in a professional manner, especially when there is tension in the business, maybe some, financial struggles, things of that nature. How do you kind of keep everything operating smoothly and deal with all of this stuff behind closed doors?
Well, when we were working in the business, which we're not anymore, I mean, we would literally go in the office and close the door and figure it out, either tell each other what we thought, or have a moment where we go, okay, we can make payroll this week, but we can't pay any vendors, or we can't place any orders. And we would just methodically work it through. Karen always has this great expression on Monday morning of rolling the dice. We're gonna pay the people who were screaming. This was at the time when things were tough, and then we'll roll the dice, and see what happens. And she's someone who loves to go to casinos and stuff, and that's been really helpful for me because I don't have that about me. So I'm a scared person and she's not, so that's been great.
Well, but then there came a point where we needed some outside help. I know, Amanda, this was something we were going to get to, but we realize we've never been frightened to ask for outside help. I mean, I think when you're you have your skills, but we've never been marketers, for example. We've never been, we've always asked for help on all kinds of levels. But at one point when we had 3 stores, we realized we went from two stores to 3 stores, then to 4 stores, which was the store that we closed. But at the time we had 3 stores, and we realized that whilst 2 stores was a challenge, 3 became we were running in circles. And so we did get outside help from a business, a company called George S. May at the time. They I don't know how to describe them really, but they just come in and sort of put your business under a microscope, and because we'd asked for help, we realized that what they pointed out to us is that our problem was that everything revolved around Karen and Laura. Karen and Laura were in the middle, and everybody else was circling around the outside, and that Karen and Laura needed to be over here leading the ship, whilst everybody, runs the businesses the way that we were asking them to run. And one of the, they asked our staff, for example, who do you report to? And it was sort of like, well, it depends. They knew I'm the sort of yes person. So if they want tomorrow off, I'd be like, yeah, sure, because I don't like conflict. And or somebody had come to Laura and say, can we advertise in this school magazine or something? So Laura say, yeah, sure. And we'd realize we needed to actually have an organizational chart, some structure. And one of the things we did was Laura and I drew a line in the sand. So we had very specific responsibilities. And I know that sounds really simple and obvious, but it wasn't at the time. So if you know, Laura dealt with all of the staffing issues and scheduling, and somebody had a problem, they went to Laura because Laura had a better ability to deal with it than I did, because I was yeah, okay. And but if it was budgeting, purchasing, negotiating, anything like that, so Laura was able to say, if somebody came to me with a problem, I'd say you need to talk to Laura about that. If somebody came to Laura for an advertising or a deal, she would say, you got to talk to Karen about that. And that was kind of the turning point for us. I don't think we ever had conflict after that, because prior to that we were butting heads. After we got that very simple thing in our heads, right, Laura? We really didn't butt heads after that, and haven't since.
I mean,
So,
we realized that the value, if we have more time, we'd tell you the story about Laura making smoothies and getting completely told off by this company. But we realized that the value of the owner is not doing all the micro stuff, although we were always prepared to do it as an example to our staff. I mean, if there's a tissue in the aisle, we'll pick it up and we'll leave it there for someone else. But the value of the owners is, like Karen said, steering the ship, coming up with new strategies, coming up with solutions to issues, making more sales, making more bonds in the community, being the figurehead of the store, but bringing everybody with you. Yeah. So that, you know, very quickly we saw this woman who still works for us for over 25 years. She had started part-time in our third store as a bulk bagger, as everybody in the health industry starts out with, is bagging bulk. And she became someone who was very good with Karen at doing the books. So Karen showed her how to do the books. We did our own payroll in those days. And Kelly became kind of Karen's right-hand person. And she literally grew up with Karen as her guide to everything to do with office work. And of course, right now, she's the one who runs the company. She's our COO. And I don't know what we would do without her. We're never going to lose her. But Karen mentored her, and I did likewise in the store. With my emphasis on my passion is serving customers and helping them with their health conditions. I love going out and doing events in the community. I had a radio show, and I found someone that you know very well, Brian Mosier, started working for us when he was 18. And it was very obvious that he would be the next Laura, and so I did the same with him. He trained at my knee, at my elbow. I showed him how to help customers, how we build a basket. Occasionally he'd sub for the radio show for me because he's really good at it, and he's doing it now on his own. And he became our head salesperson, really, and still is to this day. And so that we learned that letting go was not necessarily a negative thing. It didn't reflect badly on us. Actually, moreover, it allowed us to do more of the things where you can make your business more dynamic and build your business and get your face known in the community. And that lesson has served us and still serves. I always go back to it. Who's the next person coming along that Brian can train, right, for the next 20 years? So
yeah, I absolutely love that you found your protege and just worked them up through the business and through the ranks to eventually kind of let you go on to other things and not have to worry about the day-to-day. We talk to retailers all the time where the owner's like, oh, like, can I even take a day off? Can I go on that vacation that I've been dying to go on because I'm so exhausted of being in the day-to-day all the time? And it's like, yes, you can, but realizing that you have to kind of remove yourself a little bit and empower your staff to take on different responsibilities and not rely on you for every little thing along the way. So I want to ask you, what got you to the point where you were like, we need help? Was it the, opening up that additional store that you weren't prepared for and then realizing like, oh shoot, we can't do this. Now what do we do? And then, from a financial standpoint, if that was kind of bleeding you dry in a lot of ways, what got you to the point where you were then saying we still need to invest in the business, even though it's hard, and ask for help, even if the money's not there. So I'd love to hear more of what that process looked like for you guys.
Well, I think the third store, you know, you can't cut yourself into three pieces, you know, and if there's two of you, you can't be three people. And, you know, we needed some help in terms of setting some policy, some clear communication, so that even if we weren't in the store, everybody knew what was expected of them, and they had kind of a roadmap. Even brand new people could read, okay, this is how you open, this is how you close the store. You know, this is how we put an order away. This is how we price it. This is how we check for inventory turns. And, you know, in the middle of running around between three stores and getting, you know, it created a lot of tension between us because, well, you want a day off, but I've been, you know, blah, blah, blah. So just by forming the two different roles, and then us realizing that, you know, we could bring people up. And it was a big financial investment, wasn't it, Karen? I mean, it was a lot of money for us to spend. It seemed a little bit crazy at the time, but
I think it was like $20,000, but which was, it's a lot now, but it was really a lot then, wasn't it?
It was a lot then. And, but, you know, again, there are people in the world who have specific training in specific roles. And your average health food store owner is not one of those people. I mean, what are we good at in the health industry is listening to people's problems, solving their health problems, you know, being advocates for holistic health in the community. It's not necessarily looking at, you know, percentages of turns per square foot. And, you know, we were kind of ran up against that. And we were like, okay, well, there's industry norms. All right. You know, and that was a good guideline for us. And then, of course, when Infra came along, when we joined Infra right way at the beginning, they then have been a great resource too. Obviously, a less expensive resource, but, you know, we can, you know, you can go and find out what another store in New Mexico is doing that's kind of like your store, and see how you you know, how you're doing and how you're performing. And just as an aside on that, when I left, because Karen left first, but when I left the store as kind of still managing partner, what was really useful that I had learned, which I'm not a financial person, is you know, if your percentages stay good, you're good. You know, if you keep your payroll below 15% or keep your cost of goods below 50% or whatever, the number on the bottom is gonna work out for you in a positive way. And so those kind of tools that were given to us by either people that we hired or associations that we joined, like NPA and SENPA and Infra, have really been useful tools for us to develop, and then for us to be able to manage the store from afar by opening the door and letting our people into that knowledge too, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And my other follow-up question to that would be, you know, if you have any words of wisdom for stores that might be in similar shoes that you were in, where maybe they're struggling right now, whether it be financially or with their personnel or just day-to-day operations, what mindset shifts did you have to go through to be willing to ask for that help that you needed, even when it felt scary, maybe it felt, you know, uncomfortable? Any things that you would encourage people with?
Well, I see, and Karen does too. Now we're visiting hundreds of stores over the course of a year, which is one of the things I love about my job as an educator. But, you know, you run into these attitudes of, oh no, I don't have time for my staff to go to a dinner training. You know, I'm not going to pay them. Oh, I'm not paying them. You know, and I spend a lot of time trying to help them from a retailer's perspective that this is an investment in your own future. And when you educate your team, those people are going to go on and make better sales for you. They're going to stay with you longer because they see themselves in their work better. They're empowered. So I think one of the first things that I would say is delegate, empower, and educate your team, because they then they've got more traction with their job because they love coming into work and telling everyone about the new Curamin extra strength they've learned about and how it can help Mrs. Jones's knee pain without her taking drugs and whatever. And then the other aspect of it that we've always been really clear about, and again, a lot of retailers get very stuck in this downward spiral, is, you know, don't just you go to the trade shows or the conferences. Send your manager, send your bag stuffer, send your cashiers, you know, and let go of a little bit of the I know it's a treat, but you'll get so much more back for your business, and you'll see your staff team thrive if you can do. And I think the worst problem that I encounter is staff turnover, that people are so discouraged that they can't hold on to staff. And it's not necessarily about how much you pay them, it's what working conditions and optimism do you create in your store for those staff to show up to work every day.
That's 100%. And you know, that sort of leads me to the next thing that we did, which was, again, when Laura and I were preparing to exit the business on a day-to-day basis, we hired another person who Laurie Bainham, who well, you talked a little bit, you dealt with Laura on a day-to-day basis. So
you know, Karen had left the business about 6 months prior to me leaving, I think, or a year. It's so fuzzy now, but you know, I realized that we had a problem if I was to leave, that we hadn't set up his structure. We hadn't planned for it. We hadn't, you know, one of the things I would say to people who are thinking of leaving the business is start 5 to 10 years away from the time you think you might be leaving. But we immediately promoted 2 people to be, you know, general managers, top managers, and it created a lot of bad feeling in the rest of the team who've also worked with us for, you know, everybody had been there from 12 to 20 years, so they had a lot of skin in the game, and now suddenly these young upstarts were their bosses, and people, you know, we started seeing things become uncomfortable. So I reached out to Laurie Bainham, who I knew. She'd started this new company, which was improving communications within your business. And I just thought it was perfect timing. And again, it was a financial outlay that Karen and I decided we would do. I felt a great urgency to do it. And she came in and she did personality work, tested everybody, found out whether they liked their job, what their specific skills were, what their communication styles were, which was probably something I knew nothing about. And probably the biggest change that happened is that we learned how to figure out, you know, ex-employee is never going to be the one who's going to hug the Mrs. Jones, but she's the perfect one to get the order done on, you know, to a cent of the budget. Whereas, you know, Brian is the one who's obviously going to be the face of because he thrives on that stuff. I mean, he could be a Broadway star. So, you know, so we were then able to start moving people around, writing different job descriptions for them, giving them new jobs. And, you know, things started to really hum and tick along from then. And that's when I was able to leave, and the structure was there already because Laurie was still working with the group. So we kind of had her on board for about 2 years, I think, doing regular workshops with everybody. I would have phone conversations with her. We came back, Karen and I, and everybody had a big, you know, company workshop. And, you know, all of that was just a massive investment. And when I say massive, I mean just a glorious investment. And I would encourage anybody out there who's kicking their heels and wondering how they're going to have an exit route in 5 years to reach out to Laura Bainham, because she's such a great mentor and a hand holder, and she's, you know, she'll have the tools ready for you to tap into.
Well, and I'll say anytime that I've talked to people about exiting a business, the biggest thing that you have to be ready for is that you're not doing anything anymore. And so everyone really struggles with that. Business owners really struggle removing themselves from the day to day. And so you have to find those people.
It is really hard. And the hardest thing I found is not diving in and solving the problem.
Mhm.
disempowering them by me coming or Karen coming in and we just fix it. No, you're not doing it this. We're going to do it this way, because then you're back to square one. So we had to figure out ways to lift them up and guide them towards the decision that we would hope they would make, because it's still our company, right? It's still our mission. Rather than stepping in hard and going, okay, never mind, I'll take care of it, And that to me was the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Working remotely for sure, but the more you do it, the better you get at it, like anything. So, and now,
Sounds a little bit like being a mom. When you were watching your kid like cook the meal for the first time and they're breaking the eggshells into the pan. But just sort of let it happen. I love that you're talking about sort of having those guideposts, though, through mission, vision, values. And I know you guys talked about what a great thing a handbook was for helping people along and to hold people accountable. Talk to me a little bit about why the handbook, how that ended up helping you guys out, and if there are any other things that you're like, this was a clear guidepost that helped people make better decisions.
I think one of the things that would that's most important is that we've spent many years figuring out how to do things well and efficiently, and putting that in writing so that everybody's on board, we're all on the same page, because that was one of the things that we didn't have prior to us getting some help in initially. So we had different procedures, like in different stores, which sounds crazy, but we did, and so we got everybody on the same page, and quite honestly, I got pretty stern about it, honestly. If I'm unpacking an order and pricing it up and checking it off an invoice, and I've been stood here doing it for 18 years, if you've got a better way, explain it to me. Otherwise, you do it this way. We did not, and it really would drive me crazy. I'm like, what are you doing? Taking one thing out of the box, looking up the price, putting the sticker on it, walking over to the shop. I'm like, you could have the whole thing done in a fraction of the time. You do it our way. This is how we do it. And this was, to me, that was really, really important. It saved, it was, I hate to say our way or the highway, but I mean, really, I think though, even though it's minutia, it's 100 minutia things during the course of a day running a store, that it's really important to have everybody on the same page.
Right. And then, your overarching mission, which is customers come first. We're there as part of the community. We don't judge anybody. We don't treat anybody differently. We have a lot of different people that work for us with different political and religious ideas and guide stars for themselves. And none of that matters, because we wrote the handbook in a way that took everybody off the hook. So there's no, well, I rather do it this way. Well, this is the way we do it to get healthy. This is what we do. And things like dress code, rather than me having a personal comment on your shorty shorts, it's written quite clear there. Professional, we have work shirts. They have to be clean. You can't wear your fluffy cardigan over them, so everybody gets a work sweater. We have an image to maintain that's professional, and that was important to Karen and I.
Yeah.
The kind of music we play, those things, the expectations. I mean, the handbook is an overall guide to who we are and the flavor of our stores, but also the kind of things that Karen is talking about in the details, the bathrooms being cleaned. And so how we use it is not just as a cheat sheet for everybody and a negotiator for people. Is, the staff have to sign it when they hire them. They have to read it and sign it, and they've agreed to those things.
Yeah.
So that makes it much easier. I mean, we had to let someone go, which is very rare for us, because she just refused to do it our way. And she was a great salesperson. We put a lot of time and training into her, but it was just creating so much stress for everybody. And so we let her go, and it gives you the confidence to do that, or it gives them the confidence to do that, because we've all collaborated. And we just updated it a couple of years ago. We wrote new job descriptions. Those went in there. So, we are bringing in since we've left in almost 8 years now, we've still bringing in the new procedures that have been shown to be more efficient, or people's great ideas. But they all do things in the same tone and the same clarity that we decided, 30 years ago, which feels really good.
Yeah, it makes me think of when you guys were talking about you defined your own roles individually, and that brought clarity to things, which brought both confidence and freedom. I was thinking about that when you guys were talking about that, but
Yeah.
now you're talking about handbooks, like this is the Get Healthy way. This is how we do things. And so again, clarity brings a lot of freedom within the boundaries that you're setting and a lot of confidence in moving forward together as a team. So I love that you guys found that in more than one situation over and over again. Getting clear makes life a lot easier for everybody.
Yeah, and I think I said this to you before, that I know that if I got my little jet pack on now and zoomed down to Florida and opened that front door, it would feel and sound and look the same way as if Karen and I were still there, because we have two leaders who have embraced the Get Healthy way of doing business. And, I don't have a single second thought about it.
Mhm.
So
And Laura, you do also have weekly or bi-monthly
Yes.
meetings, right?
Yeah.
With schedule with
Right.
everybody, right? Too, that not with everybody, but with the two.
Yeah, so I monitor the sales every night. I look at the average basket, because from there I know whether we had good customer service that day. And if the basket goes down, I jump right on it. What's going on? Who was on the floor that day? We need to talk to them about, spending time with the customer, giving them education. So I look at sales. I study the profit and loss every month. I look at customer count, comparative sales year on year. And then we have a weekly or bi-weekly meeting where we go through issues like marketing, staffing, anything they want to bring up that they need help with. It's not that we're never there for them. Anytime they've needed us, we've been there in spades, but underneath them, lifting them up rather than telling them what to do, so they can, with our support, figure out the best strategy. So I think it is important to obviously it's your business. Our we always say our pension's on the shelves there, and it has to be taken care of. And so you do have to maintain a thread of, connection with what's happening. The other thing that we did earlier on too is we had a secret shopper. So, and we had a friend who I gave her store credit, and she would go to the bathroom. The first thing she did would go to the bathroom. Was the bathroom clean? Absolutely. Were you helped? Yes, I was. These guys are great. It's almost like you're still here. So we kept the secret shopper on for a couple of years, and then it was obvious that they were running it the way we wanted to. And then the other thing that we do, which I think was Karen's idea earlier on, was we do profit sharing based on teamwork.
Yeah.
So if we meet our 5% or 10% stretch goals for that month based on last year, they all get, depending on their hours and their if they're managers or not, but they all get a little slice of that. And they get it as a team, so it's not one staff against the other. It's the store. Did the store make the goal? Everyone gets a slice. And I think that's been kind of a special thing. And that seems to be more valuable to them than the $1 an hour raise or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to talk with you more about what this process looked like for both of you to leave day-to-day operations, because it sounds like had you not invested so heavily in your staff, obviously that wouldn't have been possible. So I'd love to hear kind of the story of like what that looked like deciding to leave and then actually doing it, and what that kind of looks like now.
Well, what it looked like was that one day Karen said, "Can I talk to you in the office?" She said, "I got a new job."
Oh my gosh.
I was like, "Say what?" And then on the back of my mind, all I could see is who's going to do the books? Who's going to go negotiate the deals? I mean, it threw me for a minute then. And then I was happy for her because she is my dearest friend. And then it was, there was a definite timeline for me to get this figured out. And that's when I really kind of started to try and learn or be more involved in the other side of the work that Karen had been doing all those years, working with this woman, Kelly, and, I would sit in and do the meetings that Karen would do Monday morning about the budget. And, I very quickly learned what we needed to do.
You quickly learned that I hadn't been doing very much at all, really.
Yeah, the golf, I really learned how to play golf. Kidding. Yeah, I mean, I think, I think if I was going to do that again, we would take a step back and plan for it. It's just that circumstances pushed us to make it more imperative, because we both had separate goals that involved not being at the store, not living near the store. So there was kind of a push. And so I worked up to that time, making sure everything was ready so that I could go. And then in the meantime, we'd hired Lori, and it was kind of a seamless transition, because she then took on, keeping these communication meetings happening, helping people be reassured that just because we'd imposed a peer as a manager now, that didn't affect how valuable they were, or, we were careful at that time to make sure everybody was well paid, that we were listening to what was there a job they wanted in the company? How could we put them in that seat on the bus if possible? And we moved people around, and I think people are a lot happier now, to be honest, because they feel like they're part in the company as well, communicated to them, there's clarity, and they enjoy what they do. I mean, that's why they don't leave, I assume. But I think with most owners would say the same thing. If you have a really great manager who's been with you a long time, your biggest fear is that person leaving. And rather than have you freeze in place about that, think about ways you can incentivize them, involve them, empower them, so that they can start to be more hands-on. And that would be a time where you could slowly do different things.
Yeah, and you're still involved in the stores though. So I heard you mentioning a few numbers that you like to watch. I'd love to hear more about that. What are the numbers that you want to see every week or month or year, just to make sure that things are going well?
Well, obviously we want to make money, which, some months is hard to do if you have repairs. We just had a hurricane, we lost all our frozen stuff, power was gone.
3 days of revenue as well.
Lost 3 days of revenue because the store was closed. So I look at payroll. I mean, I just look at those percentages, and I get them from Infra. I look, you can go to Infra.
And natural products retailer as well. The
Yes.
Natural Products Retailer has that once
Natural
a year.
Products
They publish the metrics.
Yeah.
Natural
Merchandiser.
That's right.
Yeah.
They publish industry averages according to your size store. So we've always sort of compared those percentages against ours to make sure that we're sort of in the ballpark of industry norm.
Yeah. And I talked to the office, the CEO, and I'll ask her, why was payroll higher this month? Because you might not think it's a lot, but over the month it eats into your bottom line. And if you know why you're spending that, that's fine. But you want to keep abreast of why you may, maybe they've all gone to a trade show and we've paid them, or, that's fine. We're happy to do that. But I want to know that if our sales haven't gone up in line with our payroll going up, there's a problem. Because if we bring more people on board, the sales should go up, right? Because we have more people selling on the floor and doing customer service. So I look at that, look at whether we're doing reviews with staff, look at, we like to do an event every quarter in the store. We've just actually expanded our Spring Hill store so we can start doing events there also, because that brings in more money on the top line, helps support your sales, grow your sales. I mean, we had our best year ever last year. And our sales have been improving, which is great. So, I keep abreast of that too, who's coming. We have a vendor program that we sign up people at Soho to pay for end caps, and that helps us do more marketing. Do we need a new TV commercial? So when I do my meetings with people, I have these headers that we discuss. What's the new marketing idea? What's the new event idea? Why was that event poorly attended? Because we pride ourselves that we get a lot of people to our events. So I'm always prodding them and pushing them. I don't solve it for them, but I'm always observing and looking top down at a snapshot of the business. But I do that every day. I mean, I look at the sales, I look at who's on the staff team, how many returns we had. That's another red flag, right? Somebody ringing stuff out. So these are all kind of, I mean, I don't know how people would have done it in the past when we weren't able to go online and see sales reports. But now there's no reason why you can't support your store remotely if you've got a good system in place to start with.
We love events. Obviously, it sounds like you guys think they're wonderful as well. Tell us, what have you found is really a great way to attract new people? Because as long as you've got new people coming in, you can nurture them. So would love to hear how you attract new people to your store.
Well, that's our challenge for sure. We have stores. I would love to live in a metro area. I would love it. We would just be millionaires because we're so good at what we do, but we don't have that. We have a good day for us is, 50, 70, 80 customers is a good day for us. So, we just don't have the amount of people that live near our two stores. So we have to be constantly thinking about how are we going to bring new people in? How do we let them know who we are? So that's our TV commercial has been very, very successful. We do slick text, which is a way of directly texting your VIP customers to sign up for our VIP program. You have to give us your phone number, and we make that an incentive for them to come back again that week in the store. But the events is really, I feel, what brings new people in. Brian going out we do a lot of work with NAMI, the mental health people. We go out to gyms and to the Y and do days there. We really work hard at allowing new people through the front door because Karen and I know that once they're through that front door, they're going to be our customers for life because we're so good at giving them a great experience in the store. But how do you let them know where your store is and how do you get them in the front door? So I think events are really important. The radio show, I feel like we really do everything we can. And again, when I'm an educator, I try and talk to retailers about this. And there is a lot of reticence now after COVID for some reason. But I do a lot of consumer events as an educator, and they're getting another $2,500–3,000 in sales that night. So why wouldn't you do it? That allows you to do more marketing and more events. So that's what makes.
I've also noticed that our customer count, like our daily and sort of monthly customer count, has incrementally come back up to where it was pre-COVID. Just a FYI. I know I've noticed that our customer count and average basket for most stores, customer count was down and average basket was higher during and around COVID and after COVID. But I've noticed that our customer count is just about where it was, more or less. But we've kept the average basket size up, which is probably why we've seen that growth it obviously is why we saw the growth last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we do Facebook, right? And we
do all that.
Facebook boosting and
Instagram and TikTok. We do all that.
Yeah.
You said earlier about what advice would you give to somebody? And one thing that I'd forgotten to say is find a store that you just think is amazing. And the one that comes to mind, and I know you're connected to this, is Nutrition World in Chattanooga. I'm going to be going there in a couple of weeks. And they just do everything right. Their mission is out. It's in the break room. It's in everywhere you go. They are specialists at customer service. I mean, they do a lot of other things that maybe are beyond the reach of your average retailer. But what they do in the store is phenomenal. And and they're in a, they're not in the city, they're kind of on the outskirts of the city. I know they don't have much competition, but they have hundreds and hundreds of customers that just throng there. But they do it right. It's a beautiful place to shop. It's a great atmosphere. You get great advice. They're involved in the community. Their mission is up front. You feel cared for when you're in there. People are just so devoted to shopping there, and I feel like that would be my store if I, the other one would be Publix, because Publix do everything right, of course, and pride themselves on cleanliness and customer service. But find, if you're not happy with your store, Karen always says the really helpful thing is don't drive in the back door. Walk through the front door of your store every day. What do the windows look like? Are they full of crappy posters and from Nature's Plus posters from 2012? Take them out, put something new up there. Be welcoming, be clean, have everyone engaged. It's really not that hard. It just takes a bit of confidence and thought. But I think all of those things are really important.
Well, and that's something that I love about this industry is, you said find a store that you really look up to. These stores that are, movers and shakers, so to speak, and other stores that are trying to get to that point, we all want to help each other. And that's what I love about SENPA as an organization. Doing a webinar series like this is where we can all come together and share ideas and know that we're not each other's competition. We're here to support each other. And even if I had a store 20 miles away from yours, I would want you guys to do well,
Yes.
because we're all in this together. And when our
Yes.
industry thrives, we all thrive. And so that's why I'm just super excited about what we're doing here, talking with experts like you and experts that we're going to have on future webinars. It's just really, really exciting for me to see this kind of all come together. I know it's something that SENPA has been wanting to do for a really long time. So really, really thankful for you guys and just your willingness to share and be so open about the good, the bad, and the ugly and everything in between. So this has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I love this. And I think that we have answered all of the audience questions in our follow-ups with you guys. But if we haven't, please feel free to submit any questions for Laura and Karen to info@naturalproductsmarketer.com. And we promise to follow up with them and get back to you because these ladies are so magnanimous with their time and they are willing to educate and share and continue to be a part of this industry and to help everyone here grow. So we couldn't be more excited about having you two on today and all the wisdom you've shared with us and all the things that we know that you're doing for this industry. We're very excited about that.
Yeah, we had one question come in for Laura. Who are you educating for right now?
Oh, the best company in the country, Vital Planet, Brenda Watson's
Lovely.
company. It's such a joy to work with Brenda, who's actually one of my icons and somebody that I met a long time ago. She was the very first person that did a consumer lecture at our store a long time ago, way before she got established with her brands. And so, yeah, I just love, I couldn't be more honored to work as part of her team.
We love Brenda too. She's so
Yeah,
fun.
me too.
We have another question here. You mentioned private label at the beginning. Do you guys have any comment on how you went about doing private label?
Karen?
It took us 5 years, but when we decided to do it, to actually pull in the trigger, our poor rep was pulling her hair out with us. I think she'd given up, but the reason it took us so long is because we were always worried about putting our name on something and did it hold up and was it all that? And we didn't want to put our name on a brand that was our label just to be it so it was cheaper. We didn't want to be like the cheaper brand. We wanted a brand that would hold up. So it took us a while. we did it a long time ago, and now I think it's become more relevant, right? You know, because of the current situation with the market and you know, Amazon and so on. So I think having your own brand makes sense, especially for your A through zinc, you know, especially you know, the basics. Keep your specialist companies like, you know, Vital Planet and Terry Naturally and all the great brands that are out there that do something unique. But for the, you know, the bread and butter, why not make it your own brand? And in fact, we're currently looking at some other products, aren't we, Laura, with
Mhm.
to do, you know, because as I see it, as we see more brands pop up in Publix, for example, which is our local store, or Walmart, I it's like you're dead to me. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna go find I'm gonna go find something and put my own name on it. And so we're currently looking at that now with you know, something else.
Yeah, you're not the only ones feeling that way for sure about brands that are popping up in the major retailers. We do have a question from Helen who is asking if you'd be willing to share your handbook.
Sure.
Yes,
There's no-
of course we would.
Yeah.
There's also this the SENPA members only has a whole bunch of them too, because I think over the years as we've updated ours, we've gone into the members only, right, Deborah, because we've pulled in fact I think do we not have Nutrition World's handbook in there?
That I
Deborah?
don't know.
Huh?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I know we've got quite a few in there though, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
we do.
that we can, so we've collaborated from a few, but we'd be very glad to share ours with you, Helen. Yes.
Perfect.
can put
And
that-
we'll be happy to send that out to everybody.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, thank you again so much, everyone, for being here with us today. And thank you again to Karen and Laura for sharing your time and all of your words of wisdom. We do have our next webinar already on the calendar for December 11th. We'll be joined by Lauren and Alina from Mastel's Health Foods in St. Paul, Minnesota. So make sure you register for that on the SENPA website. The registration link is already there, and we'll be communicating about that event coming up. But thank you all again for being here, and we'll see you next time.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Hi, thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
Hmm. Yep.
You can still see me?
Yeah, you know, Amanda and
Just in case there's any
and Karen hopped off.
Okay. Well, my computer died, and so I apologize for that. Literally just went completely blank. So I'm sorry about that. If there was anything that I missed having to answer or anything, I apologize.
No worries. I think we're all
Okay.
good.
Okay.
And
All
then
right.
we'll
Well,
follow up with a communication to everybody. So
that sounds great. And then
All right.
let me know. I know Amanda will do that. I've got a call scheduled with her on Thursday, so she'll let me know all the other stuff.
yeah, perfect. Thanks, Deborah.
Okay. Thank you. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.